from ELIXHER here. We are here today with Ione Lloyd, a Brooklyn-based playwright, here to talk to us about her new play, Little Louise. Hi Ione, how are you?
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with ELIXHER.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your play, Little Louise.
Little Louise is set in the 1900s, about 1930s, and it's about a biracial woman who was a prostitute who opens up her own whorehouse. The play really looks at race within race, so color shades and privilege, going back to slavery and why we still believe that, who instituted that. It also really looks at your emotional connection to your body and how that physically manifests.
What inspired this play?
Oh, and it's a comedy.
It's a comedy. Wow, okay.
It's a comedy.
What inspired the play, and what inspired you to make it a comedy? That sounds like very heavy topics tied in there.
You know, it is really heavy topics, but the one thing that I found about comedy is that the more tragic, the more serious the situation is, the moments of joy or the moments of comedy are the deepest moments. And one of the instances in my life that inspired me to write the play was that all the women on my father's side of the family, their middle name is Louise. And actually my middle name is Ione. And when my mother was pregnant with me, my grandmother, whose first name was Louise, called her and asked her not to name me Louise because all the women in the family, including herself, had really, really bad luck and really, really difficult lives. And she wanted to stop that by ending the name Louise. So that's when the idea of writing this story began.
Mm-hmm. And as far as the storyline with the whorehouse and the madame with the whorehouse, how did that concept come about?
Are you talking about my grandmother? I'm totally kidding. So my family is really fragmented, on class and race. Mm-hmm. My mother is white, my father is black, and when he passed away, I started to do a lot of research because my connection with the black side of my family was gone, and I don't really have a connection with the white side of my family. And so everyone had known that my grandmother was a prostitute and had run a whorehouse, but nobody ever tells me anything, and it could be because I'll write about it. So I get that. However, I was really very proud of her. My father had me, later in life. So in the 1900s, a woman of color, she didn't really have any options. And she was incredibly intelligent, and just to call and reach out to this white woman who's having her, black son's, child, and say, I want to stop this. I feel that she was really caring and loving, and I think there's a lot of women in general and a lot of women of color where we may have to do things that we don't want to do, but do them well, and there's no one that honors that. So I wanted to honor, not just my grandmother, but women that are in that circumstance.
Right. I know also the lead character identifies as bisexual and also
Yes.
as well as biracial. How does sexuality play a role in this storyline?
Well, I always have a queer character of color in all of my work because we're everywhere. Yeah. So I mean, someone has asked me like, oh, can you go to where's a good gay bar? And I'm like, it's always a gay bar if I'm there, right, because I'm gay,
That's true. Yeah.
So that's a theme throughout my work, but it's not. I mean, my grandmother inspired the play, but then the play had a life of its own. Mm-hmm. But I think the purpose of her being bisexual in this play is she didn't have the, I guess, luxury in that time period to be out or to have a language, and so it was just action.
Mm-hmm. So if you had tea with your inner child today, what would you two talk about?
We would talk about how we've missed each other, how it's good to be back as one. We would apologize to each other. I would probably have to apologize first. And then we would finger paint.
So tell us a little bit more about the incredible cast that you have and how you went about casting the lead roles.
I was really picky and I was really blessed. The woman playing the role based on my grandmother is actually from South Africa, and she still models, but she was formerly a model for Sports Illustrated. And the things that she knows about apartheid, I don't necessarily know, haven't experienced. The things that I know about being Black in American slavery, she doesn't necessarily know. So it was a really good learning experience for both of us about issues of people of color globally. Mm-hmm. And she's one of the hardest working actresses I have ever met. Hardest working actresses. And I think that she understands how special this piece is.
And what message do you hope the audience leaves with when they see it?
I want the audience to come out of the theater and, have a good time, but also have a moment where, I was laughing, and you know what? I really shouldn't have been. That's not polite dinner conversation, but everybody thinks about that, and why is that? And I think that'll be different for everyone, and I would like it to be something that they think about, a week after, something that they can integrate into their life.
Mm-hmm.